Live. Once again, it is the Field of 68 Best Bets podcast and Best Bets live stream. My name is Rob Dauster. The gentleman you see there with me is the one and only Jeff Goodman. Jeff, we have a Final Four. Houston is taking on Baylor on one side of the bracket. Gonzaga is taking on UCLA on the other side of the bracket. The Bruins won a slugfest last night, beating Michigan, knocking off the number one seed in the East region. Gonzaga, of course, rolled. What is your biggest takeaway from what we saw in the Elite Eight?
That Mick Cronin's the greatest coach since John Wooden. You don't believe that? I mean, come on. Look at that team he just took to the Final Four.
I mean, yeah, that's certainly an opinion that someone could have.
No, amazing game, amazing story. You know, to me, again, like Mick Cronin's done a great job out there trying to mix together, because when he got the job, I think a lot of people, myself included, were like, how is this going to work, right? How are we getting Mick Cronin, of all people, to Westwood and UCLA where, it didn't work for Ben Howland, right? It didn't work for Ben Howland. Why? Because he wanted to grind it out. He went to 3 straight Final Fours. And still they ran him out of town because he was playing in the 50s and low 60s. And we expected Mick Cronin to probably do the same, but Mick Cronin's not nearly as stubborn as Ben Howland, more willing to change, more adaptable. And what he's done is gone out there and said, like, all right, I'm going to let you play. I'm going to recruit some guys that can score the ball. Johnny Juzang being one of them, adding late the Kentucky transfer. And last night it was Juzang, but it was the defense. It was like a typical Mick Cronin team, what you were watching last night. I mean, they grinded it out. They fought you. They weren't really able to score. And then what did they do? The last 8 possessions, they just locked Michigan down for the most part and played great defense. Didn't allow them any – well, they did allow them some easy shots. Michigan missed a few. But regardless, they won a grinding 51-49 game or whatever it was.
Yeah, I thought it was fitting that getting UCLA back to the Final Four was the first time this season that the Bruins looked like a Mick Cronin basketball team playing like that. So I was impressed with the run that they were able to go on. I mean, look, Johnny Juzang went absolutely nuts last night. Absolutely nuts. What did he finish with? 29 points, 27 points, something like that. And when you have a guy that's able to make the plays, this is what we talked about heading into the game, right? Michigan was probably better suited to being able to make a run, but UCLA had guys that could shoot them into the Final Four, and were able to make those, make some of the plays, make some of the big shots, and carry a team that was not able to figure things out offensively. And that's really what happened to Michigan. I thought that the game plan that Mick put together to kind of just basically take away everything on the perimeter, switch everything, take them out of what they wanted to run, and funnel stuff into Hunter Dickinson in the post and into Austin Davis in the post. I mean, that Michigan's offense down the stretch was, let's get Hunter Dickinson posted up 12 feet away from the basket and hope that works out. Let's get Austin Davis posted up 12 feet away from the basket and hope that works out. And just think about in 2021, that is what Michigan was running to try to win this game and try to make a comeback against UCLA. And that, it obviously didn't work. There's a reason why post-ups are going away, because it's the efficient form of scoring in basketball. Yeah, listen,
again, it's funny because I said before the game that I think everybody wanted to see a Michigan-Gonzaga matchup. And I do still. I feel like that would have been probably the better matchup. But ultimately, it's funny. I woke up this morning. I was like, all right, thinking about the 4 teams. And I'm saying to myself, you know what, Rob, this is exactly what we said 3 months ago. Gonzaga, Baylor, and then everybody else. And, somebody's going to – those 2 spots – are pretty wide open for the most part. We had no idea who was going to get there, especially in a pandemic, especially in a situation that all these guys were playing in here in Indianapolis, being kind of, kept in their hotel and not allowed to see anybody. But it's Gonzaga and Baylor, and I think that's what we're going to get in the final game. I hope that's what we're going to get, because I think it gives us the matchup that everybody wants to see. But listen, UCLA, is it a surprise? Yes. but I feel like we were going to have a surprise. We just didn't know who it was going to be. But even Houston, a little bit of a surprise because they really haven't played anybody all year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the crazy thing about Houston in this entire situation is that like they played Texas Tech in November, and then beyond that, their best one is what? A Memphis team that everyone thinks is good based off the way that they played down the stretch and the way that they played in the NIT. So I'm glad that they got there though. Like that's my big thing with Kelvin and Houston here is that I'm glad that they were able to find a way to make the run. Because I mean, look, that's the most interesting storyline to me in this Final Four is the redemption angle for a lot of these guys.
There's a team going for perfection, and you're telling me that's the most interesting.
I mean, that's the odd one. And how long are we going to be able to talk about that? Because look, it's going to happen, right? They're probably going to win every game by double digits. It's going to happen.
They're not,
but I think
double digits. They beat them.
Yeah, I think that they will. But it's the redemption angle of a lot of this, right? Like Baylor coming back from what happened in 2004 and 2003, and being able to get the program eventually get to where it is now. The Kelvin Sampson redemption tour, based off of what happened with the phone calls, and we don't have to go down that road again and talk about that again. But the fact that he's able to revitalize his career, it took 13 years, but he's got a team again that's once again capable of winning a national title and playing in the Final Four, obviously. And then UCLA being back, Mick Cronin. It's very interesting how everything kind of played out this year. I do think it's interesting though, Jeff, that in a season as weird as the one that we're in, it only makes perfect sense to me that the plucky underdog, the second team to ever go from the first four to the Final Four, trying to become the first team to ever win a national title after playing in the first four, just so happens to be the program that is the most storied program in the history of college basketball. How about that?
Yeah, who would have thought? I mean, if you told Bill Walton that many years ago. I mean, listen. To me, again, this is a program that's been just average over the last 10 or so years. Since Howland left. I mean, really, it's amazing that they fired Ben Howland after 3 consecutive Final Four appearances, or shortly thereafter, 3 consecutive Final Four appearances. Again, to me, I'm not sure. We'll see how this elevates UCLA back in terms of in the minds of kids. That's what it's about now for Mick Cronin. Can he capitalize on this Final Four and have people see the playing style that he's playing, that he's implemented here, and capitalize with a combination again of tough kids and also ones who can score the ball? Because if he can do that, maybe UCLA can get back. I mean, the Pac-12 is so wide open. We know that. Yeah,
and look, part of it is getting all of the LA guys that are kind of going to USC right now. Imagine what this team would be at this very moment if Evan Mobley wasn't at USC and was on the UCLA roster. Imagine what the program would have been last season if instead of having Onyeka Okongwu at USC, he was on the UCLA roster. Part of it is being able to make sure that the cool school to go to in Southern California is once again UCLA. And I think that this puts him back on the map, right? Look, the worry with Cronin was always going to end up being, we don't want to play these ugly basketball games. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. We don't want to play slow pace. We're not about playing defense. Well, yes, they won with a grinded out game. They've won with toughness. But you know what else he's done? He's let his guys rock on the offensive end of the floor. He just kind of gives the ball to Johnny Juzang and lets him go. He gives the ball to Jaime Jaquez and lets him go. So, it was fun to watch, man. It was fun to watch. I mean,
how about Juzang? And again, think about this. Kentucky could have had Johnny Juzang this year. And what did they need more than anything? A dude who could shoot the ball and score the ball, right? With poise. He was that. And part of the problem with Cal sometimes is, again, the patience, right? The patience. And he's got so many big-time guys that it's Juzang might not have been ready early. But sometimes you got to understand that, you got to give him enough minutes so that you still have him when he's a junior and a senior. And then it gives you a real chance. Again, will Juzang be a junior or senior anywhere? I don't know. But
I mean, he might have a shot. He might have a shot to go now. He might have played the same thing with Jaime Jacquez. Like he might have played his way into being an NBA draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, he was awesome too. I mean, those guys have all, and they're all banged up. And again, we've talked about how shorthanded they are, not having Dacian Nix, and Chris Smith was pretty cool on the sideline after the game on the bench. Michael Lewis, UCLA's assistant coach, just gave him like the biggest, longest hug you would see, and their celebration was just so different than everybody else's. You know, I mean, Kelvin's with Kellen was awesome, and his daughter, but I think UCLA's was just so improbable, and nobody expected him to win against Alabama or, frankly, against Michigan, and to beat both of them, two teams that we consider like national title contenders. You know, other than really Gonzaga and Baylor, wouldn't you say Michigan and Alabama would have been like basically 3 and 4 or 3 and 5 in terms of maybe cutting down the nets, and they beat them both within a couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, they're both right there, for sure. So let's talk a little bit about Gonzaga, because I thought that what they did was just so unbelievably impressive in terms of being able to wear down the Mobleys. Like, look, the reason why that matchup made sense that everybody was on USC is because what Gonzaga wants to do offensively is get the ball into Timme in the post. They want to score in the paint, and they build everything around this idea that, like, yeah, we're going to be able to get seals with Drew Timme. He's going to be able to score with his back to the basket in the post. And USC has Evan Mobley, and they're the best 2-point field goal percentage defensive team in the country for a reason. They take that stuff away. The first half, Gonzaga had 30 points in the paint, right? USC had not given up more than 36 points in the paint for a whole game the entire season. They averaged 41% 2-point field goal percentage defensively. Gonzaga shot 18 for 29 from 2 in the first half. That is a cool 62%, Jeff. Drew Timme finished with 15 points in the first half, 7 to 12 from the floor, stuff in the paint. So they were right at USC's strength, which USC does better than anybody else in the country, and they kicked their ass doing it. It was very, very, very impressive. And if Gonzaga is going to be able to do that against that team, I just don't know. I don't know how you beat them. Like, how are you going to be able to beat this team?
Well, I mean, here's the thing: is like, again, we thought the length was going to be able to bother Timme specifically. We thought he would have trouble, and instead, he just went in there and did work. And like, honestly, it looked like he was doing that against like me and you. Mm-hmm. He was just going in, and I think he's just so fearless. And I feel like his confidence grew quickly. And by the first immediate timeout, he just knew. He just knew, and their whole team knew, like, this is over. Like, we are so much better than them. They're not going to have a chance against us. Again, the zone, I mean, listen, the only way that zone works, right, is two-pronged. One, you neutralize Timme. Two, they don't make shots. They actually didn't make enough shots early from the perimeter. Like, it wasn't like Corey Kispert was lighting them up or anything like that. It was just Timme going to work in the paint. And by him doing that, it opened it up for the other guys, because, you know, normally you didn't have to worry about bringing any help or worrying. You know, you're just saying, hey, you know what, Timme, go ahead, bring it to Evan Mobley. Bring it to him, and he's the lottery pick. He's the guy that's going to be able to block your shot or at least alter it. But, man, Timme showed me something. He showed me something last night that I'm not sure, again, where he is on the NBA spectrum, but he's one hell of a college basketball player. And the Timme celebrations too, Rob, they're pretty fun to watch.
So good. They're so good. They're so good.
Does it come across? I love Timme, so I don't think of it this way, but like, is he going to be a hated kid because of his celebrations? Probably. Or not? Yeah.
Probably, but the difference is, like, so when you see Drew Timme, right, like, he's got a handlebar mustache. He's this goofy dude that wears a headband. Like, he doesn't have an ounce of muscle definition on his body. He looks like he was taken straight out of a 1972 NBA game and plopped into the modern game, and he's still killing everybody, right? When it comes to someone that's like a JJ Redick, you got like a pretty boy that's out here that thinks he's better than everyone, thinks he's smarter than everyone, gelled hair, McDonald's All-American, this, that, and the third. When you got someone like a Wojo, he's from Duke, he's slapping the floor, he's gritty, he's tough, he's doing all this other stuff. Aaron Kraft, same thing. Brad Davison, dirty player, kicking people in the nuts, throwing elbows, taking charges. Like, nobody wants to see that stuff. When you have a dude that's 6'10" with a handlebar mustache celebrating like by going like this because like all he is just a goofy college kid, I think that plays differently naturally than the villain, right? You know what I'm saying? So
I was curious.
But look, Gonzaga might be the new Duke, and it might get to the point that if they keep winning like this, especially if they get Chet Holmgren. Here's the crazy thing, right? So if you look at who else they have on their roster right now, I'm gonna bring it up because I want to go over this. I want to make this point. They're probably losing Suggs. You can assume they're losing Suggs, right? He's going pro. Corey Kispert is going to graduate.
Probably, yes. Suggs is gone.
Yeah, so Corey Kispert's going to graduate. Drew Timme, let's just say for argument's sake that he ends up going pro, right? So you lose your top 3 players, you lose the three All-Americans. Yeah. Eric Cook's going to be gone. Well, here are the guys that they had in garbage time, right? They had in Ben Gregg, who was a top prospect in the class of 2022 that reclassified and enrolled in the middle of the season, correct? They had Julian Strother, who was like a top 75 recruit. They had in, I believe it was, there was Martinis Arlauskis, the Zakharov kid, and Umar Balo, all 3 of whom were top international prospects coming out of high school, right? Dominic Harris, another kid that is like like a top 100 kind of a player coming in. So like they have all of these studs on their bench that are going to be the kind of guys that can sit there and develop. So you could lose all 5 starters and come in next season, and you're still going to have a team that is spent a year playing against these guys every day in practice. They all happen to be like top 75 kind of players. And oh, by the way, you might get Chet Holmgren. And oh, by the way, you got the what's the name of the kid that just committed?
No. Oh, by the way, your front line might look like this next year: Drew Timme, Walker Kessler, and Chet Holmgren. That could be your front line next year at Gonzaga. Okay.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: if you have Drew Timme, Walker Kessler, and Chet Holmgren, you're not going to have Drew Timme, Walker Kessler, and Chet Holmgren because all 3 of those guys can't play in the same front court.
Well, you're going to get 2 of them. You're going to get 2 of the 3, so you're going to be fine there. They're going to need to add an elite guard because I think Nembhard tries to leave. Suggs is gone. Kispert's gone. So they'll get the best transfer guard. That's what they're going to end up getting.
Yeah, who's the commit that they just added? Now this is killing me. There's got to be someone Hunter something. Hunter Salas. Yeah, there you go. That's the name.
Yeah. So they're going to keep. Listen, they're going to keep loading up with a combination now of, really good high school players, and they've owned the transfer market here for a while. So it's going to be
that should be the way that everybody wants to build their roster, right?
Sure.
Like when you're trying to build these teams new every single season, the goal should not be let's go out and get all the best 5 stars because, like, let's be frank, man, you're not going to get John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and Eric Bledsoe again. You're just not going to get those 3 best guys. And even when you do, you probably have a much better chance of being 2019 Duke than you do being 2012 Kentucky. And I think the goal should be let's go get 1 or 2 of these 5-star studs, right? Guys that are going to come in and be immediate impact players. Let's develop the players in the program that we have, so we have veterans that understand the culture that we're trying to build. And let's go out and let's add a couple of these grad transfers that are going to come in and be able to do a job and have an impact the way that we need them to have an impact. So, I think it was very, very impressive. We just had someone in the comments say Gonzaga needs to get the Groves brothers. That would be perfect. I don't know if there's a better fit than
he hasn't heard from him. I talked to Tanner the other day, and he has not heard. I mean, it's crazy because they're obviously grew up, Spokane, so it would make sense. But he's being recruited at a high level, just not by Gonzaga. If they miss out,
when you say a high level, like where is he? Is he just going to go like play at a Pac-12 school, like a Cal or something like that?
Like Virginia's interested.
That actually would be a perfect fit for him.
You think? I mean, I don't know if he wants to go that far. All the Stanford's on him, places of Cal's on him. any of those Pac-12 schools or San Diego State's on him. But
I was trying to think, would do with that beard and that hair.
A Cal.
Like, no, that beard, that hair. He has to go with the headband. He has to go to Bill Walton's alma mater, right? He has to go play for UCLA. Can you imagine Bill Walton calling a Pac-12 game, calling a UCLA game where Tanner Groves is out there killing everybody?
Yeah, it'd be pretty fun.
It would be a perfect fit. Fun. All right. Anyway, Jeffrey, we're going to have plenty of time during this week to kind of break stuff down. We just wanted to get on here.
I think I have a UCLA grad coming on tomorrow. So I think I've locked in a UCLA grad.
We got to get a Gonzaga guy on at some point too. And maybe we'll get someone from Baylor or Houston. I don't know. Let's get weird with it, Jeff. We're going to have 2 days where we really basically have nothing to do, but talk to people. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be here again tomorrow morning, and of course, there will be a UCLA grad. Great tease. I don't want to know who it is until they jump into the.
I'm not going to tell you. I never tell you.